The candles here on the steps of the sanctuary were lit on Friday evening and yesterday by children of our parish who went to confession for the very first time. And it's always really a very beautiful experience for the children. I think kind of a frightening experience for them because they're not really quite sure what to expect in going to speak to a priest, an adult, to be held accountable for what they have done. So we have them light a candle in order for them to realize that the beauty of the light of Christ can lead us out of darkness. The sacrament of reconciliation is just one of the tools that we have as Catholic Christians in order to be able to get right with God, to be able to realize that we are held accountable for what we do. We are held accountable for our actions, for our thoughts. We are held accountable for our words. And our gospel very much says that as well. Our gospel reading today speaks about accountability, so that as we celebrate this feast of Christ the King, it's really a realization of Christ not being some royalty with a crown and holding something over his subjects such as power or oppression, but rather it's being part of something with the Lord, that he is a priority in our life. The fact that very often people go through their whole life wondering who they are. And if that's the question that we are asking, who am I? We're asking the wrong question, because really the question we should be asking is, to whom do I belong? And when we realize that we belong to Christ, we are placing him in a position of prominence. We are giving him the ability to be over our bodies, to be over our souls, to be over our lives. We are placing him as a king. And really, who but God can forgive sins? Who else but God should we be held accountable to? There really is no one else in terms of that main place of being a priority for us, except for the Lord, because he has that ability to do things that other people cannot. So today, as we celebrate this feast, it's really first and foremost wondering, where is the place of Christ in our life? Where do we have him as a priority, and how is our relationship with him? Because frankly, it all boils down to a personal and intimate relationship with Christ. Not as some distant king in a castle on a hill up in heaven, but rather one whom we know, love, and serve every single day. So Jesus gives us some wonderful practical ways to be able to be held accountable to him. And back in biblical times, there's a lot of obvious and very much outside kind of things that we can see about how to be held accountable to God. When we see someone who is hungry or thirsty or in prison or ill or a stranger, we see all of these things. Well, I think we know what to do. So in our 2014 language, we may need to look at these wonderful works of mercy in a different way. And by looking at these works of mercy in a different way, perhaps we can really think not necessarily of what we do. We all know what we do, but how is it maybe that we do not do these things? It's always those sins of omission, not only the sins of commission. So when we hear of I was hungry and you gave me food. Last weekend we had a beautiful food drive, but hunger is even beyond that. There's many people today who are hungering for the gift of relationship. Just think, not a week goes by that there's not some really horrific act of violence that goes on somewhere in our country, almost to the point we're kind of desensitized to it. Hunger maybe is not just for something in our stomach, but hunger is also the hungering for a relationship, a companionship. There's many people who are alone today. A lot of our young people, especially, who think relationship is something we find on social media. But relationship is a personal relationship. It is talking on the phone. It is presence. It goes much deeper than just something that is electronic. When I was thirsty, you gave me no drink. Well, we can be very good about giving water to somebody who may need it, but also thirsting maybe someone who is looking for just a smile. Perhaps it's when we are out at the store. I have to tell you, I had a week recently where it seemed like every business that I went into, I was thinking customer service is going downhill really quick. Especially when I was at a financial institution and I had given my driver's license, and the person kind of like threw it back to me like through the window, and I think she thought she was being cute about it. Personally, I found nothing cute about it. And I thought, wow, if all she had done was just, here you go, thank you very much, a smile. It goes very far. Just looking at someone in the eye, not being so consumed, once again, by many distractions that go on. When I was in prison, you visited me. In the bulletin this weekend, we have a little blurb about if you're interested in being involved in prison ministry, please, I would encourage you, if this is something you've been called to do, there's a process to go through. We need men and women to be able to go and to visit those who are incarcerated. But again, it goes beyond that. There are some people who are in a prison of fear because they have no self-confidence, no self-worth, no dignity. It's been robbed from them. And it could be our neighbor. It could be the person sitting across from us at the dinner table. That really being in a prison of maybe not knowing that they are loved. Being behind bars and feeling alone. When I was naked and you clothed me. Yes, we can be very good about giving clothes, let's say through a Be an Angel program or some other sort of outreach that goes on, bringing things to goodwill, making sure people have clothing, especially in the cooler weather. But there are some who have been stripped. People are naked because they don't always feel protected. They don't always feel that they, again, are loved. So there's many different interpretations of these corporal works of mercy. And how is it that maybe we live them out and are held accountable? For truly, if Christ is our King, if Christ is the one to whom we are held accountable to, then do we live this out each day in a way of saying, Lord, I belong to you and I work with others in order not only to one day see you in your kingdom, but how about building the kingdom here on earth? Beyond the obvious, beyond what we see with our eyes, but going a little step deeper and looking for those who suffer so that we can be included not with the goats, but rather with the sheep, and to know truly who our shepherd and king is.